Welcome back, y'all. A lot has happened since the last update video that I made talking about the XP changes, mainly the XP changes to PvE game modes like Escape and Horde. And I mentioned in that video that there was going to be a bit of backlash, and I honestly don't understand why the coalition decided to implement this sort of change. And I was correct, as well as the rest of the Gears of War community. Basically everybody, even non-PvE players, could not understand why the coalition did this, and they got a lot of hate. And they say that the coalition mentions that they got a lot of feedback on how they implemented the XP changes for PvE, and that they said that the reason they were wanting to do that is to just have an overall flat XP change for everybody, and it should have increased everybody's XP gain. But as we found out, that wasn't the case for the people that like to run the higher level Horde and Escape lobbies. As of right now, those changes have been reverted. So I'm going to start with that first, scene, as that is kind of like the biggest news, is that XP changes were reverted. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, last week, for some reason, the coalition decided to just give everybody a flat XP boost across all game modes. So if you're playing Horde, no matter what difficulty in Horde you are playing, whether it's beginner or whether it was inconceivable, you would get the same amount of XP. If you completed all 50 waves on inconceivable, you would not gain any more XP than you would have if you completed all 50 waves on beginner. And rightfully so, the community was upset about this because, like, you're kind of taken away from the PvE players, and there really isn't a reason to push yourself and play those higher level difficulties. And as a result, they reverted the change back. So you are still going to get more XP than before if you're playing on the easier levels. So if you're playing on Elite or below, you're still going to be gaining the same amount of XP that you were gaining after the update. So not before the update, but after the update, after they doubled everything and made everybody basically gain the equal amount of XP. But anything above Elite difficulty, you will be getting increased difficulty multiplier XP, which is kind of what we had previously before the update. The higher the difficulty, the higher the multiplier, and it's going back to that. So only on difficulties Elite and higher, and if you're playing Elite and below, you will be getting just a flat base XP across all difficulties. And seeing as PvE, Horde, and Escape got that increased multiplier XP, because not only are they getting that flat double XP that we got last week, but it's going to be topped off with that multiplier. So basically, if you're a PvE player, you're going to be earning way more XP than you were before the update. And to compensate for this, they actually had to triple the amount of XP for versus game modes because there was an offset there. So I think this is the best case scenario for everybody. It's a win-win for PvE and for PvP players. Previously, only PvP players benefited from this change, but now PvP players are benefiting even more. You're gonna, as I said, you're gonna be earning triple the amount of XP. After the update, it was only double. And now if you're playing PvE game modes, you're going to be earning way more depending on what difficulty you actually choose. So thankfully, it all got resolved. I don't think I've heard anybody complain about this change. So hopefully the coalition can stay on track with this and not make any more silly decisions like that. Now on to the next big update that we had last week, and that was the Nasher changes. I made the video on the day that the Nasher changes came out, and I hadn't played them myself, but from my understanding, and I've seen a lot of the community, majority of the community, they're actually enjoying the new Nasher changes. It still needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's better than what it used to be before. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Do you also fall in line with the rest of the community and seeing that that these Nasher changes are actually a welcomed one, and that hopefully they keep improving it in this direction? And as just like the multiplier XP, don't do any silly changes going forward. But as I said, as for me, I'm actually enjoying the Nasher play a lot more than I was before the update. Alright, well now on to some new information, and we got information on title update 4.1. This actually goes live today, so if you're watching this video, all these changes have already been implemented, and not too much like new stuff was introduced, but there are quite a few important gameplay mechanics that got changed up. So the biggest one is that you will no longer gain a speed boost after you melee. If you weren't aware of this, if you meleeed and then did a wall bounce, you would get like a small speed boost and your character would go like really fast, and then you could just wall bounce across the map like at an insane level. Like it was, honestly, it was a little bit broken, and I don't know why it took so long to make this thing go away, because I'm not sure if it was an intended gameplay mechanic or if it was a bug, but it's been like what, 5 months since the release of Gears 5 and they're barely taking it out. I personally was not a big fan of this bug because, I don't know, getting an increased speed boost like that I thought was unfair. And as far as I know, not everybody was actually aware of this. But now that it's been taken out of the game, I think it's going to go back to being a little bit more balanced gameplay. And the next gameplay slash mechanic update that we're getting is also kind of revolving around the Gnasher, but not exactly how the Gnasher itself performs, but the way that swapping weapons acts with the Gnasher. So when you swap into the Gnasher and you try to fire, the game doesn't register that you have your weapon out, and you would actually kind of fire slightly off target. So even if you're facing the enemy and you were in the middle of swapping your weapon, you think you had your Gnasher out and you would fire, but you would miss. And I've seen it happen to me, and I've seen a lot of people complain about this, thinking that it was an issue with the Gnasher, but no, this was an issue with swapping weapons. So now they're changing it so that as soon as you swap your weapon, the Gnasher is in a fire ready state, is what they're calling it. So it's actually going to be in front of you as opposed to the side of you. So as soon as you swap it, you can hit that fire button and it's going to shoot in front of you instead of being off target. And again, this is a much welcome update in my opinion. And it wasn't necessarily like a very common issue slash bug, seeing as most people run around with that Gnasher anyways, but those very few rare instances where you do have to swap to your Gnasher, it would cause you to miss shots, that will no longer be the case. And those two are the major changes coming to PvP. Now there are two major changes coming to PvE. The first one being Lizzie is getting some much needed bug fixes. If you weren't aware, there was a bug with Lizzie that if you used the Silverback ability and you died in it, it would actually cause everybody in the lobby to crash and disconnect. And for a very long time, lobbies would specifically say, everybody welcome except Lizzie. So if you were a fan of Lizzie and you liked playing Lizzie, it kind of sucked, because if they saw you, I don't know if you can kick people, but like you were not very welcome. And I'm glad that they fixed this, because it was literally a game-breaking bug. It would literally crash your game. And now the next update is that Baird is also getting a change. So Baird has a specific card that makes enemies bleed when you shoot them with a sniper rifle-like weapon. So the long shot, the M-bar, the Marksa. However, there was a bug that would cause enemies to bleed if you had the weapon out and the enemies were walking across fences or barbed wire, and it would think that it was being caused damage by a sniper-like weapon, and it was literally broken. You would just set up barbed wire everywhere and enemies would walk through it. You would sit in the back with Baird holding a sniper rifle weapon and enemies would just die. And that is being taken out of the game. It was a bug. I know a few people that are upset because it literally made finishing waves so much easier. But again, it was a bug, so in my opinion, I'm kind of glad they took it out. But I want to know your opinion on that. Were you somebody that liked using the Baird bug, or were you just somebody that used it because it was like the easiest thing, but you don't really care that it's out now? But anyways, those are like the biggest changes that happened over the last week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below as far as XP changes, the Gnasher gameplay now that we've had about a week for it, and all these mechanics coming with Title Update 4, which are live right now. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And follow me on Twitch. I live stream there daily. And as always, hope you have a good one, and catch y'all next time.